All right, Flash fans, and I know it's been a while since I've done any videos on this channel, but since YouTube changed the algorithm where you have to have at least, 1,000 subscribers before you can start monetizing your videos, I've been focusing more on my second channel or primary channel called The Haves and the Have Not Review. You'll see a link to that channel in the description below. But just to make up for lost time, since The Flash is on a break for another couple weeks, I believe it comes back on April the 10th, I thought it would be a good time to kind of go back and explore a few of the previous episodes of The Flash. Now, on this channel, I will say that it is kind of ironic that the most popular videos have to do with the Flash, hence why the first videos I'm doing on the channel after such a long break is going to be Flash related. Now, what I want to do first is talk about the fact that when it comes to the two episodes, Run Iris Run, and of course the one before that called Flashtime, I may have to do more than one video because I have a lot to say. I've said this before as a disclaimer, and some people are like, well, you know what, you say you don't hate Iris, but your videos don't seem to show her in a positive light. But I do try to make good points on the videos as to why I feel a certain way towards her, as opposed to just saying, you know what, I hate Iris, she's annoying, blah, blah, blah. I try to give legitimate reasons as to why, as a fan and viewer of the show, that I don't feel that Iris West is a good character. And of course, Candice Patton, as well as all the other actors and actresses on the show, they do the best with the material they're given. Like, I have no problem with Candice Patton. I think she's very beautiful, very, I guess you could say a very good people person. I've seen her on other shows like The Game on BET, and just seeing her on different, I think she was on ET not too long ago before the Run Iris Run episode came on. In the middle of an interview, and I just feel like she has this very friendly presence about her. Same goes for most of, if not the entire Flash family crew. But I want to talk about these two episodes and get your thoughts on it. Let me just say up front that in these two episodes, I did not dislike Iris. I am completely honest here. Flashtime and Run Iris Run, I did not dislike Iris at all. I was a bit surprised that myself. Let me tell you the fact that part of me was a bit of an Iris hater, and then when I had to check myself. Now, look at Flashtime. I think it was at the beginning of the episode when Barry was training, pushing himself in order to get fast enough to, I believe it was, catch DeVoe before he entered the pocket dimension. It basically gets to the point where, whenever DeVoe appears in front of them via the pocket dimension and tries to escape, Barry wants to speed up fast enough that he can capture DeVoe before he teleports away in that pocket dimension. It's almost like he's trying to train himself, like he tried to Wally in season 3, where he was trying to get fast enough to stop Savitar before impaling Iris. It's kind of the same idea here, where Barry's trying to train himself to get fast enough to stop DeVoe before escaping the scene via the pocket dimension in his thinker chair. Now, when it comes to the beginning of the episode, Cisco was being, a bit, annoyed by this in terms of, look, we've been doing this for hours. I'm getting tired. Unless you're giving me a shoulder rub, I'm out of here. And Iris is like, no, you know how Barry gets, because pretty much, quote unquote, being team leader, it would have been her call to tell Barry, okay, that's enough for one day. Cisco's exhausted. You need to stop pushing yourself. So we're going to cut training, and that's it. But after Barry failed to, beat the breach time of Cisco's powers, that's when Cisco had enough and he walked away. Then we move forward to the bomb scene where Barry tries to bring individuals into Flashtime with him, and when Cisco, or should I say Vibe, wasn't able to breach the bomb away, he was like, oh my, I can't do it. I must have pushed myself, pretty much breached to he breached too much earlier in the episode via Barry's training, so he wasn't able to form a breach right there in the moment. During that moment, I was like, oh my God, Iris, this is all your fault, blah, blah, blah. But then when he explained, wait, maybe it's because I'm not used to being in Flash time that my powers can't, fully activate in this sort of speed. I've never tried to breach this quickly before. So during that moment, I paused the episode and I was like, dang, I do hate Iris West in some ways, because I was looking for a quick out to blame her for the bomb thing when really they explained it. So yeah, in that one moment, I was an Iris West hater, because I'm just like, Man, it's like if your team leader, that's all well and good. I mean, I still don't agree with it, but if one of your teammates are, well, excuse me, one of your team members is expressing concern, not just for Barry, but for pushing himself too hard, but you're like, you know how Barry gets, he'll want to do it anyway. That's not your call to make because those aren't your powers. That's not your energy that's being expended as a result. Now, when it comes down to the ending of the episode where she figures out the whole lightning rod thing, I was a bit weirded out by that. You know, when you have Killer Frost, you have Vibe, you have two other speedsters and Jay and Jesse, and then even Harry Wells. All of them weren't able to come up with the correct answer. And as Barry was, you know, thinking about throwing the bomb into Speed Force, I'm glad that Jay was able to call him out of that decision, because Harry wasn't in his right mind anyway. He was too emotionally pushed by Jesse to even come up with a concrete answer. And I do love Jay saying that, look, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a theorist or whatever. I'm someone who knows about the Speed Force. Similar to what he told Barry back in the beginning of season 3, when he used that coffee cup analogy of the Speed Force. Every time he try to go back and change something, it leaves a little crack. It doesn't go back exactly the way it was. So when it comes down to everybody pretty much without any options, it comes down to Iris figuring out, wait, the lightning. And again, I didn't hate Iris because of that, because technically she wasn't handed the answer. She pretty much made a conclusion based off the evidence presented to her. So I really didn't have anything against Iris in that episode. Then we move on to Run, Iris, Run. And Ralph was pretty much written to be there were two characters I didn't like in this episode, Ralph and Barry to an extent. When I say Barry, I mean like Barry at the end of the episode. Now, when it comes to Ralph, I feel like he was written to be a tool, even more so than usual, just to kind of push Iris to go into the field, and that leads to her getting her powers. Well, I wouldn't even say stealing, obtaining Barry's powers via Melting Point, the bus meta of the week. And then even after getting the powers, you know, he's still a tool about it. It's like, well, you know what? You almost died out there, even though you saved those people from the burning building and stuff. And it's like, Ralph, shut up, man. It's like, at least she's going out there while you're still hiding away in Star Labs, which is the least secure building, I dare say, in the Arrowverse, where people can literally just walk in anytime. You're dealing with a supervillain who can travel through a pocket dimension. If he wanted your body any moment, he wouldn't even need to escape through a pocket dimension. He could just walk into freaking Star Lab, or, you know, based off his current body, just walk in there, take your body, and then that's that. So I really don't know why he was written to be the scaredy cat of the week. And the reason I didn't like Barry is because at the end of the episode where he's like, hey, it's your call if you want to get the powers back. I'm like, what the are you serious, man? That makes I'm literally going to do another video on that topic about, was it really Iris's choice to give back Barry's power? That's a no-brainer. And I did like at the end of the episode when she's like, look, you know, it's your destiny and future to be the Flash, mine is to be a reporter. You know, well, she goes back to blogging. But my thing is, I know how a lot of people who, you know, are behind West Allen and yada, yada, yada are like, man, you know what? You're calling it out because you're an Iris hater and you just don't understand the love and everything. It's like Barry loves Iris so much that he's willing to give up something that makes him happy to, you know, make his wife happy. And that made no sense to me because imagine this. Let's say it was, I'm just trying to throw out a non-powered character on the show. Let's say if it was Joe, or Harry, or I'm just spitballing here. Let's say if it was Oliver, you know, like let's say if any of Barry's non-meta human acquaintances, you know, was touched by Melting Point and obtained his speed powers. Do you really think at the end of the episode, Barry would have said, Joe, it's your choice if you want to. Oliver, it's your choice if you want to give him back. Harry, it's your choice. None of that would have went down. So I really don't know why they were trying to make it like a sentimental moment when really Iris didn't deserve the powers to begin with. It was literally an accident. So you're telling me, Barry, that you would willingly give over your power to an inexperienced speedster while DeVoe was still a major threat. And this is why I'm doing its own separate video, because I dare say that moment, especially if Iris would have kept the powers, that would have been even dumber Then in season 2, where Barry gave his speed to a dying Zoom just to save Wally West's life, and as a result put the entire multiverse at risk. And again, that's another video for another time. But my major thing with these 2 episodes, Run, Iris Run, and Flashtime, is, again, I did not hate Iris West in either episode. What I kind of disliked, I don't even want to use the word hate, but it's something that's been consistent in the script for this particular season. Heck, you can even go back to season 3, especially after finding out the whole Savitar is going to kill Iris thing, that the script for these 2 episodes has been so accommodating to Iris that it kind of downplayed the other characters. I mean, another perfect example, like, don't get me wrong, I love the purple lightning. Iris looks cute with the ponytail, in her speedster suit. But my question is, you have Killer Frost, you have Vibe, forget about Ralph in that moment, but why are you sending Iris out there by herself? I mean, Cisco could have vibed in the building and got the people out, and then, Iris could have focused, or even Killer Frost could have been there to help with, the fire assistance to put out the flames. And if you want to go even further about the whole Iris not keeping the powers, from my perspective, this episode was nothing more than to prove the whole, well, you know what, Iris West is important to the team just as any other metahuman on there. Just because she doesn't go out in the field to put her life on the line doesn't make her less of a member. I still have my disdain for her being called team leader, but I never said that she didn't contribute anything to Team Flash. But my problem with this season is that they're making it so these more experienced I'm not calling her dumb, but smarter characters are not able to see the answer right in front of them, just so Iris West could be the first one to say, here's the solution. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Because when you have Barry not being able to tell Iris how to, put out the flames, or what was it, like, circle her arms to make like a, wind tunnel, if you will, to put out the flames. And his wife is literally crushed under a piece of building and about to die. And then Barry doesn't know what to do. It's just like, I get that Barry is not the best teacher. This goes back to season 3 when he was trying to train Jesse Quick in the Mirror Master episode. It's like Barry, or even when he's trying to teach Wally how to phase through objects, he's literally rushing the lesson. He's not taking. You remember back in season 1 when Oliver shot him in the back with an arrow, teaching him about precision, checking out your surroundings and whatnot before acting. Oliver took his time, and I'm not saying that just because he's a regular human, he's not a meta, but you think about how he took his time with Barry. He was patient. And then even Thawne, or Harrison Wells, when he was teaching Barry in the field, being a speedster himself, he was able to coach Barry through the scenario on how to phase through objects, on how to, run counterclockwise to a tornado to stop it. In the heat of the moment, it makes sense why Barry was able to relax and then do the new technique that he was being taught through. But with Iris, he just froze up at the mic. It was ridiculous. So I get it. It's like, okay, we're going to reverse the roles, have Barry be, quote unquote, the pseudo leader, if you will, while Iris is the speedster. And then they both realize how difficult the other one's job was. And, well, my thing is, Barry never, in my mind, he never really doubted or did anything to be disrespectful to Iris as, oh, wow, you're really no important member of Team Flash. That was Ralph. And then Iris never really underappreciated or undervalued Barry as being a speedster. So I get what they were trying to do with this episode, but it just wasn't doing it for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was an enjoyable episode. I'll probably rewatch it when it's on Netflix and whatnot, but it was just moments like that where I feel like Ralph was representing the fans and Iris was pretty much being confronted with all the hate that she's been getting in regards to, why are you team leader? Are you a reporter? Why are you even on this team? What do you do while everybody else puts their life on the line? Like, I did think it was nice when Iris was chasing after Ralph when he was heading for the elevator to go back downstairs. And, pretty much giving him, the pep talk that everybody does when they catch up to somebody who leaves the main room or main lab. And I will admit, he was really a dick, when she was literally trying to be nice. And when she's like, look, I'm leader of this team, I'm just like, But at the same time, she was literally trying to reach out a hand in friendship, not just as, forget team leader, but as somebody who, look, we're not going to let that happen to you. We're not going to let you down. But then Ralph, just being a dick for no reason at all. It was just ridiculous. They really push the fact that we're going to make Ralph look like the jerk. That way, when Iris proves him wrong, he'll apologize and all that stuff. So it seemed more like an Iris and Ralph kind of, confrontational relationship this episode. But then you throw in Barry saying that it's your choice to be his speed. That made no sense to me. I felt bad for Barry at the beginning of the episode, not being able to have his job back. And then when he talked to Iris, she was like, it really was a heavy moment when he's like, DeVoe is like, Thawne literally trying to take everything away from me. It's like my job, my speed. And it's like, well, he hasn't taken everything. And I'm just like, Iris, you're fine and all, but at the same time, but my speed is what makes me me. So get away from me. So you imagine, like she's the one rushing around and she's making all the moves in bed that night. It'll probably push him to be Savitar, who knows? But I want to cut this video right here. I just want to get my initial thoughts out about Flashtime and Run Iris Run. As I said, I have more videos in relation to Iris West on the way. I just wanted to again reiterate the fact that I am not hating on Iris West in these last couple of episodes. I just feel like the scripts were written to accommodate her while making everyone else around her not as intelligent, not consistent in their personality. That's one major flaw of the shows that not just Flash, but a lot of shows. It's one thing if you don't like a character or you like a character, but at least be consistent with their personalities. Like character growth, I'm all for that, but don't have them regressing like one episode later. Like what we already had the elongated night where Ralph was all about, learning about being a hero isn't always about thinking about yourself. It's about helping other people. But then we have him regressing to, I'm not going outside. I mean, I get it. Like, you have a psychopath stealing metahumans' bodies and he's coming for you next. I'll be freaked out too. But at the same time, it's like you're literally making a huge dent in your character progression. But yeah, let me stop myself right here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, I'm trying to get this channel to at least 1,000 subscribers so it gets monetized. So share this video around, share it with friends. And again, it's not about hating on Iris West. It's about the consistency in the character, what they're doing with her in the story, and will she eventually fall off from being team leader and go back to being a reporter? Let me know your thoughts below. Let's get this conversation going.